to another episode of Into the Word, your weekly bite-sized dose of Bible with myself, Jonty. I'm your host, and as always, I'm joined by Rev Ness.
Hey, this is going to be a fun one.
So we have, reached the seventh of the seven deadly sins,
Yes.
the vices. We're going to be talking about pride or vainglory to round this thing off.
Yeah.
This is I think probably one of the tricky ones to talk about. Because
I've got one for you, though.
Yeah?
I'm just going to fess up straight up.
Great.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
So I didn't realise I was doing it. And God has a clever way of kind of cutting you off at the knees to teach you some humility, right?
Yeah.
I've been working on this 12,000 word paper for my dissertation for my master's. And I am smashing out those words. I've got word count off the wazoo. I am actually coming into meetings with you and saying things like, "Oh, Jonty, I've found my voice. Look at me go. I'm finally working out this academic thing.
Yeah.
This is amazing." I think I'm actually pretty good at this. I remember ringing my mum, saying, "How's it going?" Saying, "Mum, I am smashing it out of the ballpark. I'm nailing this. I know what I'm doing." So then I get my first draft together, give it in to my supervisor, and the two of them both say, "You'd be lucky to get a pass with that, Ness." And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that it was that shit, Jonty.
Yeah.
I felt like I was mortally wounded. I actually cried because I was so hurt. And they said, and I confessed to him and I said, "Oh, I thought I'd found my voice." He said, "You certainly have found your voice. We don't want to hear your voice. We want to hear what everybody else has to say. We don't care what you have to say, Ness." And I went, "Oh, it was awful. Maybe academia is not for me."
Yeah.
Pocket, And then I had to go back and dig really deep and start the document, unravel the document and plug it with what everybody else had to say and beef it out, and hours upon hours of work went into making that a thing. And I got to the point where I thought, I just want to pass this. P's get degrees, right? I just need to get through this one. And I got the paper back just yesterday with a whole lot of really interesting feedback because it gets marked externally out of CSU somewhere else. And I got a credit. And initially I actually felt a bit sad by that, if I'm really honest. I kind of went, "Oh, that has taken me so long and so many hours only to get a credit." And I spoke to Aurora, my daughter, who's doing her master's in speech pathology, and she said to me, "Mum, you're so up yourself. I am so happy if I get a credit. I just, I'm just so happy, Mum, if I get a credit. Who do you think you are?" And I thought, "Oh, back in your box, sister." And I really had to kind of get my act together and go, "No, this is good. This is enough. And I've done enough work in this piece." But it was interesting because I had a whole lot of pride in the early piece around it.
And it's probably worth underlining here that in this book that we've been going through, it says that pride is the desire for genuine status. Vainglory is a desire for recognition and acclaim.
Yeah, because I tell you what, if I had got a distinction, I would have pumped that all over Facebook. Mate, I would have made a video. Guess what I got?
Yeah.
So would have been up myself, Jonty. It's like God's just saying, "No, sister, no, it's about Hannah and Mary who you wrote about. It's got nothing to do with you."
Yeah. And like in 1 Samuel chapter 2 it says, "Do not keep talking so proudly or let your mouth speak such arrogance, for the Lord is a God who knows, and by him deeds are weighed."
Oh, yeah. Bad, Reverend.
I guess if we go through some of this stuff here, so DeYoung says in the book, vainglory pride is the excessive and disordered desire for recognition and approval from others. Whether we are successful in gaining this approval or not, we all know what it is like to desire public acknowledgement and approval of our own person or our accomplishments. There is a deep part of us that longs to be known and approved of and to have this acknowledged. I resonate with that deeply.
Tell me your bit. Yeah.
I don't know if it's I was telling you off mic that I was a fairly gifted student particularly in primary school and high school, and was given some pretty impressive opportunities as a young person. And so I kind of was fed this idea rightly so, from my parents and from my educators that I was bright. I was
Huge
smart.
potential.
I had potential. I was this,
Wow.
and you know, even like I remember I was in a composite year 1, year 2 class. The pride in being told that I was too smart, quote unquote, for the year 1 spelling words, and I did the year 2 spelling words instead with the year 2s
Smart
when I was in
bastard.
year 1.
Yeah.
And going, oh, that feels good.
Oh, wow.
Because part of my image in school was, oh, this guy
I'm the smart one.
is pretty switched on, and I switched in both primary school and high school. I did my last 2 years of schooling at a different school in high school on a scholarship,
Wow, Jonty.
and they only gave out
Handful.
I think there were 2 of us, and so everyone knew who the 2 new guys were who were on scholarship. So part of my image, I felt really people identified me as the smart guy,
Wow.
which I found really, really uncomfortable
Huge pressure.
because I don't want to be like held apart from everyone. I just don't want the attention. Like I'd rather just blend in, and it's scary enough changing schools in the middle. Like I was 15,
Yeah,
14.
wow.
It was year 11. I started at that other school on a scholarship, and I just wanted to fit in and not
Not be the geek.
not draw too much attention and kind of fly under the radar. But everyone knew who I was.
Of course.
I was one of the new kids on the scholarship. And it's I really didn't want that to get to my head, but like there is a subconscious part of that I don't think you can help it. Like I kind of that was baked into what everyone told me,
Yeah.
and the way everyone interacted with me at school was I was the bright kid.
Wow, Jonty.
Yeah, and I don't know, as an introvert and as someone who's a chronic. Like I was talking with my supervisor just last week about being a people pleaser.
Right.
So it's this kind of confluence of you're told that you're gifted, but you also don't want to you want everyone to like you and you don't want to let people down. And you want to fulfill the potential that people see in you. So it's this kind of like, I don't want that attention, but also like I feel like I have to work really hard to maintain that image.
Yeah,
Otherwise I'm
wow.
letting people down.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
this
interesting.
kind of prideful
Yeah.
thing that I still have to chip away at. I think like it's still a thing.
Yeah, I think we all do if we're honest.
Yeah.
I remember starting at MLC school, and it was my first. I was ordained into that role, and because it's a school, I think all the school teachers are really a part of their language is to tell children and students that they've done a good job. They started telling me. I was getting that feedback and affirmation as well. Oh, good job, Rev. Nice job, Rev. There's
Yeah.
hundreds of kids there.
Yeah.
You know, oh, loved your message today. Good job, Rev. And so I started to think, oh, this is amazing. I'm told I must be doing a good job. This is incredible. Then I get taken out of that placement and put into a congregation. I never get told I've done a good job, ever. I tell you, if I'm going to hear from the church council, it's usually about something terrible I've done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never good jobness, you know, so it's...
And do
Yeah.
you find yourself like wanting that affirmation?
Yes, at first, when I actually had trouble. I had to take it to my supervisor as
Yeah.
well, because I thought I felt sad that nobody was giving me any pat on the back ever, and I had to really reorder myself and adapt to the culture that I was in now. Yeah, it was interesting, but it was a pride issue too,
Yeah.
and needing the affirmation. And as a new minister, I just want to know I was doing a good job. You know, am I doing what ministers do? Am I fulfilling what you see that I need to do? You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it?
I found that as well, like when people talk to us about what we do with the podcast stuff,
Right.
I've noticed more and more when people go, especially when it's someone I've only met once or twice or someone I've never met before, when I suddenly realize that they know who I am and they enjoy the podcast.
That is so odd. That.
It's bizarre, but I notice like this pride thing starting to
Oh,
happen.
do
I'm like,
you?
oh, that feels good.
Oh wow.
Like good, like self pat on the back. You're doing really
Oh,
well.
go, Jonty. Really?
But like, I don't think that's a good thing because
Well,
it's like there's the one thing which is the affirmation of keep doing what you're doing because
Yes.
it's a good thing and, and
Yeah.
it's reaching people. Mm-hmm. But also like back in your box, mate. Like you're not top shit. Like you still need to have that sense of like you still need to be humble and treat it like
Yes.
you're just doing the work, because
Right.
that's what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
We're not like set apart. We're not like geniuses or anything. We're just doing
We're just having a conversation
we're just doing our
about
thing.
God.
Yeah. And it's great that it reaches people.
Mm,
But I started to notice that after a while, the more people come up to you and say, good job, like keep going. It's really good stuff. I told my friends, they listen to it now. I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's pride to me. Like,
that is
where's
pride,
the
isn't
where's
it?
the
Yeah.
balance between affirmation and where does that bleed into pride?
Yeah, very interesting. It's good awareness though. And she goes on to say in her book, rather than wanting to be excellent like the prideful or to be honoured for our worthiness like the ambitious, in vainglory we seek only the manifestation of excellence. That is, we want more than anything to be well known and widely known. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And then it says that the vainglorious primarily desire attention, approval, and applause.
Fascinating.
I think we all know those people as well. Like, I think we all can probably identify people that we know that, whether it's obvious or whether it's kind of a bit more subtle, where the more you spend time with them, the more you start to realize, I think they just primarily desire the attention, the approval, and the applause.
Yeah, wow.
So the spiritual virtue is humility.
Yeah,
And
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, formation, practice, silence, and solitude. And in, do you want me to read the Bible verse now?
please.
Yes, it's from Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 23 to 24. It says, let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strong boast of their strength, or the rich boast of their riches. But let the one who boasts boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me, that I am the Lord, who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, declares the Lord. Jeremiah 9, 23, 24. Yeah, there's another. I'd have to look it up afterwards. I can't remember where it is, but there's that passage in I think it's in one of the Gospels. No, it'd be in one of the letters from Paul, I think, where he says, the only thing I boast in is in Christ Jesus."
Beautiful.
That's a paraphrasing, but this Jeremiah being an Old Testament scripture, and then kind of post Jesus being like, if I boast in anything, it's that I am a disciple of Jesus.
Yeah, that's a great thing to be
Which I love.
prideful of, yeah. She says in her book, in silence we can recognise this anxious seeking for others' approval for what is, acknowledge our need to constantly put ourselves in the best light and create an approving audience for ourselves, and meditate instead.
Meditate.
Meditate instead on God's love to quell our desire for recognition and acclamation when it goes awry.
Yeah.
I have been known to, in church council meetings, because we're presenting on what we've done in the last month or two, I feel that I can do a bit of self-promotion for both of us in that space to give, first of all, educate everybody on what we've done and why we've got dark circles under our eyes. And to give, just to spell out what we've done. But in it, I can often talk us up about what we've achieved and how we're achieving it. And I can feel a bit prideful about that in the moment. I have to kind of catch myself sometimes.
Yeah.
Or when you're presenting figures on Filthy Hope and how that's gone, I end up going, oh, wow, look at us go. I'm glad I'm not in that part of the business, because I would be really up myself, But I get excited and I kind of want to tell everybody, but there's this balance of humility that you need to have in your vision all the time, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's interesting that, like, the silence and solitude thing, because when we are able to retreat into solitude and actually be silent, whether that's in prayer or meditation or whatever your practice looks like, I think that's the reason people struggle with that, if they do struggle with that, is because then they become very aware of the thing in their character that is the thing that is desiring of that recognition and the pride. It's that you become aware of what that insecurity is, and you have to actually confront it and think about it.
100%.
And that can be really, really confronting and scary and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
I've done silent retreats and I've got to tell you, I'm really uncomfortable in them. I don't know if I ever got comfortable, and I find as an external processor, extrovert, it's like gagging me, man, because I have to kind of hear myself processing what I'm thinking out loud. I find that silence piece really tough. Really, it's just I'd rather fast.
Lots of people really struggle. Again, shout out to any of my Bible study mates that are listening. We literally just the night before we were recording this had a chat about silence and solitude as a spiritual practice, and the number of us that said that we really struggle with it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, part of it is down to being able to hold your attention for that long and not be distracted, but it's also like you're forced to actually reckon with yourself.
Yeah. What's going through your brain?
What's going in your brain? What's going on in your heart?
Yeah.
Like what are the things that actually require attention?
Yeah.
That we sometimes are able to just not think about and cover over with noise and talking and podcasts and busyness and
yeah, that's right, John.
all that
good
stuff.
Point.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Pride, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want me to? There's one more quote here.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. It says, in solitude, we stop believing our own press. We discover that we are not as good as we thought, but we are also more than we thought. As we slowly come in contact with our own dysfunctions, we unveil our need for security and all the ways we try to use God and others to get it. In solitude, our illusions fall away and we see sometimes with disturbing clarity our competitiveness, our jealousies, our rage, our manipulations. We discover that we are not who we thought we were in all of our self-aggrandizement, nor are we who other people think we are in all of their idealized projections. If we stay in solitude long enough, we become safe enough with ourselves and with God to say, yes, this is who I am. That's from Ruth Haley Barton's book, Strengthening the Soul of Your Leadership.
That's a great quote.
It's really good. I like that. The longer you are in solitude with yourself, actually the safer you become with yourself, and being able to actually come to terms with who you are and who other people see you as well, which is really interesting. Yeah. So there you go. That's pride.
Yeah.
Just once again, spiritual virtue attached to it is humility. And if it's something you struggle with, the formation practice to get better at managing your pride is silence and solitude. So
fascinating.
Give it a crack.
Yeah. And I really encourage you to read this book, Glittering Vices.
Yeah, I'll put a link to it on Amazon or Koorong or something down below if people want to.
Fantastic. It's a really good read.
Yeah, and get in touch. This is the last of the 7 episodes we're doing on the 7 deadly sins. So get in touch with us if you have any thoughts or anything you want to share with us after that. Dive through those 7 vices. If you, for whatever reason, have caught up with these but haven't listened to the Fruits of the Spirit episodes, I encourage you, now's probably a great time to go back and listen to those as well, because they kind of exist.
It was a big series, wasn't it? We kind of did the 2.
Yeah, and they balance each other out.
Absolutely.
And there's an episode corresponding for each of them. So now's as good a time as any to go back and check those out as well. Email address down below. Get in touch. Join our Facebook group. We'll be back. We'll be taking a week or 2 off.
And then jingle bells, baby.
Into Advent. Through
Look
the
at
end
us
of the
go.
year.
Bring out the baby and the manger.
That's right. So we'll see you then as we get into the Christmas spirit as we look towards Christmas with some Advent stuff. Thanks for chatting, Ness.
Yeah, you too.
We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks for Advent. See you then.